So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create 2 different habit trackers inside Notion. The first one is this simple habit tracker. So as you can see in this column, we have the habits, and you'll simply tick off the checkbox for each day of the week that you've completed the habit. And then we have the progress column in here, which will show you how much of that goal you've completed. So if I tick every single one in this column, it will go to 100%. So I've completed that habit for the week. This one is pretty simple. So at the end of the week, you'll simply drag all of the cells and hit delete, and it will reset it for the new week. It's very quick and easy to create, so I'm going to show you how to create that one in a moment. I also have this advanced habit tracker. Okay, so as you can see on this one, we have a calendar view which includes the habits for each day of the year. So this is my current one for today. So you'll simply just go in here, tick off the habits, and there's a progress bar which works out the progress that you've made that day. I also have these buttons up here which automate the process. So for example, if I click this one that says journal, it will automatically tick journal in today's habit. So it won't tick any other day, it will just tick today because this is the current day. If I click this one, meditate, it will automatically tick that for me. I also have this handy button here which is all completed. So if I click that one, as you can see, it automatically ticks all of the habits on the current day, and the progress bar will go to 100%. So these buttons are really handy because you can put them on different pages in your Notion space. You can put it on your home page, and it will automatically update the habit tracker without you physically going into the habit tracker and physically ticking each of these. So it's a really, really handy tool. And then just down here at the bottom, I also have the habit analytics. So this works out your habit completion rate. So there is a different column for each of your habits, and it will work out how often you complete that goal. So for example, for journal, if I just tick a few more of these journal ones, you can see the journal one increasing. So it's really handy to work out how often you're actually completing these habits. And we also have a total success rate column, so that just works out how often you're completing your habits as a whole. Okay, so next I'm going to show you exactly how you can create both of these habits. I have added chapters in at the bottom, so if you want to just skip to either the simple or the advanced habit tracker, feel free to do so. So I'm going to start with a simple habit tracker. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is type in / and find this database inline block. Next, you want to give it a quick title. So I'm just going to call this one Simple Habit Tracker. I'm then going to click on these 3 dots and click on Hide Database Title. I just think it looks a little bit cleaner without the title, and you can then add your own custom title, kind of like this one. Next, I'm just going to rename this view. So if I just click on it and click Rename, up here it will let me give it a new name. So I'm just going to call this one Habit Tracker. You can also change this icon. So I'm just going to change that, I think, to this check mark here. So normally this will come up with this default column of tags. So I'm just going to right click on there and just click delete because we don't need that. So the first thing we're going to do is add in our habits. So you can just add a few habits under this name column. So I'm going to put in go to the gym. So here I've just added a few habits that I want to track. Next, we're going to add a new property by clicking on this plus button here. And I'm going to type in checkbox. So that's why I want a checkbox property. I'm then going to give this a name in this box here. So I'm going to call this one month for Monday and just press enter. Then I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so that I can fit all of the columns on. Next, I'm just going to duplicate this. So if you just right click on this and click on this duplicate property, and I'm just going to do this a few times until I've got 7 columns, 1 for each day of the week. Then I'm just going to quickly change the name on these so it corresponds to the actual days of the week. And then I'm just going to make this one a little bit bigger so you can see the full name on this one. Okay, so at this point we do have a semi-functional habit tracker. So I have the name of my habits, and I can tick off each day of the week that I've completed certain habits. But I think we do want this progress bar so that you can see how well you're doing that week. So let's create that now. So to add a new property, I'm going to click this plus button, and I'm going to type in formula. So we want to add a new formula. Okay, so that will open up this settings page. So I'm going to start by giving it a title. So I'm just going to call it progress bar. And then I want to click on this button here that says formula edit. So that's going to bring up this window, and this is where we're going to actually type in our formula. So the first thing you want to write is this unary plus, and then you want to open and close your parentheses. If you then go inside the parentheses, we're going to add our first property. If you just look here, it's got your properties. So we're going to put in the first one, which is Monday. So I'm going to add that in. So essentially what this does, this unary plus, is it converts a checkbox into a number. So to be able to use these checkboxes in our formula, we need them to be numbers. So if the checkbox is empty, it will generate 0. If it has been checked, it will generate 1. So it's just a simple way for the formula to know if the box is checked or not. So we do need to do this to all of the checkboxes. So in order to do that, we're going to add a plus symbol, and then we're going to type the same thing, unary plus, parentheses, and then inside those parentheses, we're going to put Tuesday. Then we're going to do it again, add unary plus, and inside the parentheses, Wednesday. So you're going to want to do that for all of these checkboxes all the way up until Sunday. So once you've done that, we are just going to isolate this inside another set of parentheses. So if you add 1 at the start and 1 at the end, this is now isolated. And then we want to divide it by 7. So the reason we're dividing it by 7 is because there are 7 properties, so 7 days of the week, 7 properties. So to work out this progress bar, we do need to divide it by 7. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the round function. So we're going to round off this number. So if you have a look in the progress bar column here, we've now got this ridiculously long, awkward number. So we're going to use the round function. So I'm going to type in round, parentheses, we're going to put in 100, and we're going to multiply. So we're going to put the little star icon here. Then at the end, we're going to add another bracket. So that's just going to close off this bracket that we've just opened here with the round. And we do also then just need to divide that again by 100. So as you can see now in the progress bar, we've now got rid of all those annoying decimal points, and we've now just got a nicer looking number. So this one will be 43%, 14%. They're much nicer looking numbers. So I'm now going to click done. That's it for this formula. Next, in this number format, it automatically populates it with number. So we want to change that to percent because we want a percentage here of the goal that's been completed. So I've changed that, and if you look now here at this progress bar, it's now got a really nice looking percentage. So essentially what we've done is we've created a progress column that is going to work out the percentage of these boxes that have been ticked, but we did want it in the form of a progress bar. So to do that, if we look again under these settings, it says show as, it's currently set to number, but we can change it to bar. So if I do that, it does generate this bar. You can also do it as a ring if you click here, and it'll do it as a ring format. I think I'm going to stick with the bar. You also have a couple more settings here. You can change the color, so it's currently green. You can set it to any color that you want. I'm going to keep it as green. And you can also decide if you want to show this percentage number or not. So if you switch that off, it will just show the bar without the number, but I'm going to keep it on. And that is it. So that is the simple habit tracker. So if I just show you how it works now, if I tick all of these boxes, you can see the progress bar going up to 100%. So if you end up ticking all of these off and at the end of the week you want to restart, you can simply click on this, drag all of the boxes and hit delete, and it will delete all of them so you can start fresh the next week. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how to create the more advanced habit tracker. So this one, if you remember, uses this calendar feature. So this will track your habits for weeks, months, years. As long as you want to use the template, it will keep tracking the habits, whereas the simple habit tracker that we just created is a weekly one, so you'll reset it every week and it doesn't really track any analytics. So this one has the habit analytics if you look down here at the bottom. So this automatically calculates the completion rate of each individual habit, and it will continuously track this over time. We've also got the handy automated buttons that you can put on any page in your Notion space, and it will automatically tick the boxes even if you don't have this calendar view on that particular page. And we also have the all completed one that will complete the full day for you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with is creating this calendar view which shows all of our habits and that you can actually tick off and show this progress bar. So I'm just going to scroll just below and show you how to create this. So the first thing you want to type in is the / database and grab this database inline block. We then want to give our new database a name, so I'm just going to call it the calendar habit tracker. Next, I'm just going to hide the title. So if I click on these 3 little dots, you can hide the database title. I'm then going to click on this view here and click a rename and give it a name. So I'm just going to call it habit tracker. And you can also click here and just change the icon. So I'll choose this checkbox. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is delete 2 of these columns because we only need 1. And I'm also just going to delete this tags property as well because we don't need that. So the first thing we're going to do is title this one daily habits. So if you just type that into the first row, we're next going to add in our actual habits. So I'm just going to create a new property here. I'm going to type in checkbox and click on checkbox. You want to give this a name, and the name should be the name of your first habit. So the first one I'm going to add is journal. Okay. Then I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so it doesn't take up as much room. So next you want to add additional checkboxes, one for each habit that you want to track. So you can add as many as you want or as few as you want. I think I'm going to add around 4. So just click on the plus, add in a checkbox and give it the name of your habit. Okay, so as you can see, I've added 4 different checkboxes, one for each of the habits that I want to track. Okay, next we're going to add one more property. So I'm going to click this plus again and type in date and add a date property. Again, I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. So you don't need to add anything in here right now. This is just to track which day these habits are for. Next, we're going to add in the progress bar. So I'm going to add another property, and this one's going to be a formula. You can give it a name, so I'm going to title this one progress. Then I want to click on this formula edit button, and that will bring up this panel, which is where I'm actually going to type in the formula. So the formula that we're going to use here is very similar to the one we just used in the simple habit tracker. I'll just briefly go over it just in case anyone has skipped straight to the advanced habit tracker. So you want to type in unary plus and 2 parentheses, and inside here we're going to put in each of our habits. So we'll start with journal. So if you click on this property here for your first habit, so essentially what this does is it turns this checkbox into a number. So if it's unchecked, it will be 0. If it's checked, it will be 1. It's just a way that we can incorporate checkboxes into formulas. So next we want to do the same for each habit. So I'm just going to add plus, again type in unary plus, parentheses, and inside I'm going to put the next habit, which is read. And I'm just going to do this for each of the habits. Okay, so I've done that for all 4 of the habits. So next I'm just going to isolate this entire formula inside parentheses. So I'm just going to add 1 at the start and 1 at the end. Then we need to divide it by the number of properties. So in this case there are 4 properties here. So I'm going to divide it by 4 by writing /4. So if you remember in the first example, this formula here does work, but it does generate a really long number with lots of decimal points. So just to clean this up a little bit, I'm going to type in round, open parentheses, 100, and the multiply symbol, which is this little star here. I then want to just add another parentheses at the end just to close off this one here that we've just opened. You then also need to just divide it all again by 100. So I'm going to add divide by 100 at the end. So once I'm done, I'm just going to click the done button. And then back in the settings, this number format will come up as number, but we just want to click on that and change it to this % so that it shows a percentage. So then to make it show as a bar, I just need to click on this bar icon here. So as you can see, we now have this progress bar. So if I just double check it works, take a couple, it's showing 50%. So that's perfect. Our progress bar is working. The next thing we need to do is connect our habit tracker up to the analytics. So I'm going to add a new database. So /database inline. And this one is going to be our habit analytics. So I'm just going to name it that. Again, I'm just going to hide the title by clicking hide database title. And I'm just going to rename this as habit analytics. And I'm just going to change this icon. Okay, so now we've got a table. I'm just going to delete 2 of the rows, and I'm going to just delete this tags as well because we don't need that. So in this, we only need 1 row. So that row you're going to title habit completion rate. And now what we need to do is we need to get this habit analytics to connect up to this habit tracker. So the way that we do that is we're going to add a relation property. So we're going to click on this plus here and type in relation, select this block here. Next, it's going to ask you which database you want to relate this database to. So we want to relate it to our habit tracker. So I'm going to select the habit tracker here. So next it will come up with a few more options. So as you can see, it says this is going to be related to our habit tracker, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. You can set the limit, make sure this is set to no limit. We want it to count as many habits as we input into the tracker. So keep it at no limit. And then it will ask you, do you want to show this also on the habit tracker? So in this case, we do. So you want to just make sure this is on. You can then give it a name. I'm just going to call it habit analytics. And once you've done that, you can click add relation. So once I've done that, as you can see, it's now appeared here, calendar habit tracker. and up on the actual habit tracker it's added another column that says habit analytics. That's great. It's showing that these two databases are connected together, which is exactly what we want. So next, if we just click on this little box here, it's going to ask me which page do you want to link. So obviously we've only created one page here, so I'm just going to add that one for now, but in a moment I'm going to show you how we can automate this so we don't have to select the page every single time. Okay, so now that we've got our two databases and they're connected together, we want to change our habit tracker into the calendar view. So the first thing I'm going to do just on this daily habits, I'm just going to set the date to today's date. Then I'm going to click on these three dots here and click on layout. So it's currently a table, but we want it to be a calendar, so I'm going to click on calendar. This automatically brings up the calendar in the monthly view, but for this example I want it to be a weekly view. So under show calendar as, it's currently set to month, but I can change that to week. So here's the current day. So as you can see, this page is now showing up on the calendar for today, but we want it to show up the actual checkboxes with our habits and the progress bar so that we can just tick it off straight from the calendar. So to make that show up, we're going to go over here to these three dots, click on properties, and these are all the ones that are currently hidden. So we want to unhide these checkbox ones. So I'm just going to click on this, and as you can see, this one is now showing up. So I'm going to do that with all of them. And we also want to unhide this progress as well. So as you can see, this is now showing up on the calendar, so I can tick this off straight from the calendar and it updates the progress bar. So now we want our habit tracker to show up on every single day so that we can track our habits on each day. So a simple way that we can do that is on this new button here. If we click the arrow, we're going to create a template. So click on new template. We're then going to give it the name of daily habits. Under this habit analytics, it's currently empty, so I want to set that to habit completion rate. So this is essentially just going to connect this up with our habit analytics, and that's it. So I'm just going to click back onto the main page. Okay, next I'm just going to click again on this button, and as you can see, this empty one is currently the default, but we want our daily habits to be the default. So if you click on the three dots, you can set it as default. Just click this button. So now that's set as our default, if I hover over the next day, so this is tomorrow, and click add an item, it will add in the daily habits template that I just set up. So if I just click back here, as you can see, it's now generated that and added it. So I can do that for as many days as I want. So every single day, I can just add a new one on here by clicking this button. Okay, so now we have a functional habit tracker where I can tick off the habits that I've completed each day. And we also have an easy way that we can add another round of habits. The next thing we want to do is figure out our habit analytics. First thing I'm going to do is hide this column. So this column will essentially bring up every single daily habits file that we create. So we want to just quickly hide that in this view. So in our analytics, we want to pull through some of the data from the habit tracker. So the way that we do that is using a roll-up formula. So these two databases are already related. We added that relation property earlier. So with a roll-up property, you can grab specific bits of data from a related database. So click on this plus icon here and type in roll-up. First thing it's going to ask you is for the relation. So we're going to click on here, and we only have a relation to one other database, which is our habit tracker. So I'm going to click on that. That's the relation that we want to use. Next, we're going to pull through the property. So which property in the habit tracker do we want to pull through into our analytics? So I'm going to start with journal. So I want to work out how often I complete my journal habit. So I'm going to click on journal. So as you can see up here in the analytics, it's now bringing up the checkboxes for journal, which is great. That's exactly what I want, but I don't want to see the checkboxes. I want to see a percentage. I want to know how often this box is checked. So under calculate, I'm going to change this to % checked. I can also change the way that it shows up. So it currently shows up as a number, but I want to show it as a ring. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. Then I'm just going to change the name and put this as journal. And I'm just going to change the icon as well to something a bit more descriptive. So if I then go back up here and click on journal, as you can see, this updates automatically. So it's now related to the journal. So it's calculating how often I complete my journal habit. So now I want to do the exact same thing, but I want one for each of my habits. So if you right click on journal and click duplicate property, then if you click into edit property, I'm just going to change the name. So this one I'm going to do as read. Just going to pick a different icon. So this one we're going to leave the same. We just need to change this property from journal to read. And this resets some of the properties. So I'll have to change calculate back to % checked. And then just click on ring again. I'm going to put this one in a different color just to show that it's a different habit. So I'll put red for this one. So just to check this one works, if I just select a couple of these, as you can see, the progress ring is updating automatically. So that's perfect. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing for the other two habits quickly. Okay, so I've done that. So as you can see, we've now got the analytics for each of our individual habits. So the final thing I just want to add on here is a total success rate. So how often do we complete our daily habits as a whole? Let's add another property here, and we're going to add a formula. We're going to name it total success rate, and I'm just going to change the icon as well. Click on edit formula. So the first thing we're going to want to do is add all of these percentages for each of our habits together. So they show up here. So I'm going to click journal, add read, add meditate, add workout. So you want to make sure you add every single habit together. So if you have 10, add 10. The next thing we're going to do is isolate this inside parentheses. So one at the start, one at the end. This is now isolated. And then you want to divide it by the number of properties. So in my case, we have 4 habits, so I'm going to divide it by 4. But if you have more, you'll want to divide it by the exact number of habits that you're tracking. So if I click done, as you can see under total success rate, it is giving us one of those really long, ugly numbers. So we want to round this down to a more usable number. So if I go back to the formula, we're going to type in round, open parentheses, 100 and the multiply sign, which is the little star, and then we're going to close the parentheses again at the end of the formula, and then you just want to also divide it, the forward slash, by 100. So then we're going to click done. Next, under number format, we're just going to change that again to a percentage. So now we have a really nice percentage here, and this time I'm going to change it to a bar. So we've got a progress bar showing up here. So there we have it. We now have the habit tracker and the analytics working together. The final thing we want to add is those automated buttons that will tick off your habits for you. So you don't have to come into the habit tracker to tick them off. You can just click on one of those buttons on any page and it will do it for you. So you want to type in / button and click on this button block. So I'll start by giving it a name. So I'm going to call this one journal, as I want this to tick off the journal checkbox for me on the current day. We're then going to add our first step. So I'm going to click on edit pages because I want to edit a current page. Next, I'm going to select which database that page is in. So in this case, it's in my habit tracker. Next, I want to select which page I want to edit. So this is currently set to all pages. I definitely don't want it to edit every single page. I just want to edit today's page. So I'm going to select where the date is today. So this will just select the page where the date is today. Then I want to select which property I want to edit. So I want to edit my journal checkbox and I want to make it checked. I'm just going to add an icon. So once you're happy, you can click done. So now if I click this button, as you can see, it's ticking my daily habits for me, and it only ticked today. So there's a few boxes here that are unticked. It will just tick the current day journal. So we can do the exact same thing for all of the habits. So I'm just going to click on here and click duplicate. So I've duplicated the button. If I then click on this little cog, I can edit. So next we're going to do the read. So I'm just going to change the name, change the icon. Okay, so I'm going to leave most of the settings the same. The main one I want to change is which page I'm editing. So instead of journal, I want to change read. Then I just want to change it to a checked checkbox. Okay, click done. So again, if we look at this box here, I click read and it will automatically tick it for me. So I'm just going to do the exact same thing for the 2 other habits, workout and meditate. Okay, so I've added those 2 other buttons. So if I click on workout, it ticks workout, and if I click on meditate, it ticks meditate. So I'm just going to pull these. If you pull these to the side, so it will generate columns like this. So if I just pull all of these, they'll all just go into one row. So it's just a little bit easier to work with. And the final one we want to create is one final button that will tick all of these boxes. So say they're all unticked, I want to be able to click one button and it will tick all of my daily habits for me. So we're going to add one more button. So this one I'm going to title all completed and just give it an icon. So the first step, we're going to again edit pages in our calendar habit tracker database. Again, we only want to edit pages where the date is currently set to today. So I'm going to change this again to the date is today, and we're going to add our edit property. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm just going to add multiple pages. So we'll start with journal. I want that one to be checked. I can then click here, edit another property. I can add meditate, put that to checked. So you just want to add all of the habits that you're currently tracking onto here. Okay, so once you've got them all, click done. Okay, so here is today, so it's currently empty. If I click on the all completed button, they all automatically become checked. So that's a really quick and simple way that you can check them all. And that is it. So that is how you create the more advanced habit tracker, where it will include analytics and automations. So it's really, really simple, but really effective. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. And you can also check out my pre-made Notion templates in my Etsy store. The link will be in the description box below.